It's fantastic. I feel very fortunate to have a shot at coming back and continuing this great story and this show that we sort of set in motion last year, and continuing Stephen King's work. And it's been great to get the band back together again. Everybody's pretty chipper and looking forward to a good season. We delivered on the product, and people showed up and responded to it. So I think, they often say the odds of a show making it. You've got to, well, first you start with the pilot's got to get picked up, and so once the pilot gets picked up, then you got to have a great airtime, and then people still need to make it past episode 3 or 4, and then you got to get past the first. So there's so many factors that play into whether or not a show is going to make it. I feel like not just in the U.S., internationally, the response to the show has been so fantastic that that we really kind of just found a groove. Having him writing this first episode, and for all of his fans out there, I think it's important for them to know that he is invested in the show. As I said, he's written the first episode, and if he could expand that world beyond what he did in the book, that's where we end up in this season and hopefully the seasons to follow. Stephen is famous for his strong characters, his detailed characters, and I think that's the line that this show has to walk between high concept of the situations and the events that are happening around us, and all of those are fantastic, and the visual effects geniuses do a fantastic job bringing all those things to life. But in the middle of all that, not losing the journey of these very real people. And I think Stephen was saying to me yesterday that he wants these characters to have teeth, not just walk a line right down the middle of the road, that they would wander and meander, and yeah, Barbie's generally a good guy, but damn it, he's gonna have awful moments, and he's gonna have times where he screws up, and so chinks in the armor and imperfections. I think that's where Stephen was going with it, and hopefully we get to incorporate that this season. When we jump back in, we are literally a direct cut from where we left off last year, which is Barbie about to swing from the gallows, going to meet his maker to sort of protect Julia, and Big Jim waiting to settle that score. And we'll come right back in from that point, and we'll see everything kind of go wrong yet again. Barbie finds a way to talk his way out of the noose that he finds wrapped around his neck, and it just sets in motion an entirely new, I would say, a new level of the dome that we have not yet seen. Throws the entire town into a whole new problem that they have not dealt with, and a lot of surprises along the way in the first episode. Now we're taking on a whole nother, dealing with a whole nother slew of issues that are now confronting the people in this town, where everything has been shut off for 2 weeks. What's going to come of their food supply, of their crops, of their, the sustainability of things? How do you continue life as it exists now under the dome? Julia's shot and dying. We find out she is the monarch. And I think all of us are still trying to figure out what that means. We come together at the beginning of season 2, only to again be torn apart by by new relationships and certain circumstances that again are going to happen and test this relationship. If there's not a seesaw, if there's not an up and down between these two, then it becomes way too predictable. So I think it's good to create that longing in the audience for them. Oh, I want these two to be together, and we wet that whistle and get them just close enough only to break them up and then bring them back and then break them apart and just constantly put these roadblocks in between their relationship fully realizing itself, I think. That's going to be one of the roadblocks to this relationship, the introduction of the character of Sam, that Julian and he will have certainly a very strong connection. And likewise with Barbie, with Rebecca in Carla Chrome's character, another new castmate to the show. So there'll be a person on each side pulling these two, and I don't think that it's never going to just negate the relationship that's there. As I said, it'll be one more roadblock for these guys coming back together, and at times it will seem that they're done. But I think the more that we create that back and forth, the better we are. Barbie may have to bury another body. I'm excited to see the stuff between Sam and Barbie and the rivalry that's going to produce. As this show has done, and as a lot of Steven's characters do, they start off one way only to end another. You know, with Barbie, we come in and bad guy. Turns out he's actually sort of an anchor of good in this town. We enter on Big Jim, and surely he has the town's best interest in mind, right? And he's here for the people. And we find that he's a maniacal, manipulating, power-hungry guy. And that changes. Now heading into season 2, we're going to be evolving yet again, and how we start off season 2 will not be how we end season 2. Each one of these characters is going to go on their own journey, and will yet again end up different from where they started. It is that variety that keeps things moving and interesting, and heading into a situation like this where we're losing some characters, we're gaining some characters for the show and the audience. I think it's fantastic. As Mike Vogel, it's difficult because for 6 months of the year, you're here getting incredibly close with these people that you're working with, and it becomes one giant family, only to hear that some of that family is going to move on elsewhere is difficult because you get used to having each other around. But that is it's just the way this business goes sometimes, and it's part of the vision for this show, is putting that shock factor into it. And who knows, maybe it's me by the end of the season. I don't know. It'll be exciting to see. Clearly, you can't take all the evil out of a town, because then how much fun would that be? You can't take all the good out of the town, because then you have no back and forth. So I think it'll probably be who we least expect. I think if someone could find a way out, I think it would be Barbie. Someone I'd love to see be put out would be a Big Jim. Let him go serve his crazy up somewhere else and let us figure out how to make this town run efficiently. The shock and awe that we created in the first season is going to be one-upped big time by the changes and the things and events that are happening in season 2. For our sci-fi fans, it's really going to kick that aspect of the show into high gear, so we'll all be able to nerd out together.